Welcome back to the Celtics Nation Rise podcast, episode 62, presented by Celtics Talk Weekly. I'm your host, Griffin Aldrich. Alongside me, down below me, we got our co-host, Seamus Zarlingo. Right next to me, we got our co-host, Andrew Quinn. And right next to Seamus, we have our co-host, Daniel Miguel. Welcome back, everyone. Another week, another podcast. And how are you guys feeling? I tell you what, I'm in a great mood tonight. I feel great. I'm ready to talk some Celtics. I don't know about you guys, but how are we doing today? How are we doing? As my TV almost fell. And I wanted to clarify before we get too far into this episode. This is not a Bulls shirt. I was with my brother today, and he had on a Jaylen Brown jersey, and I was wearing this. This is a red.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It literally says cowbell on the back. It says
you undercover Bulls fan.
No, it says cowbell. No, but anyways, we walked into this what was it? A steak and cheese place, D'Angelo's. I don't know if you guys know D'Angelo's, but it was funny. The guy was like, "Now, what is this? A Bulls fan and a Celtics fan coexisting?" And I'm like, "Whoa, I am not a Bulls fan. This is not a Bulls shirt." And I had shown my tattoo. That's what comes in clutch with having a Celtics tattoo. If anyone thinks you're another fan, even though this, I give it credit. Does this look like a bull though?
It looks like a crab or like a chicken.
Looks like a crab almost. Yeah.
Looks like a rotisserie chicken.
Rotisserie chicken.
Hey Griffin, are you an MJ fan?
Am I an MJ fan? That's a story for another. I would go so. Yeah,
I'm an MJ not fan. For that we cannot.
But get into. Yeah, that's a debate that we'll be getting into in the heart of August. Trust me, we will be getting into the NBA LeBron debate. We got you, Seamus. I know Seamus is shaking his head, but
I refuse to be involved in that debate. It's so ridiculous. I'm sorry. I did not watch Michael Jordan play day after day because I wasn't alive. All right. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, this man's the greatest of all time or this man's not the greatest of all time. I didn't watch him day after day. How can I say anything about it? Now, if there's another player who comes along like Cooper Flagg, right, and we can compare LeBron and Cooper Flagg, maybe I'm willing to have that conversation.
That's
but
fair.
Michael Jordan, the narrative matters. The narrative matters. You go back and watch Game 6 in 1998, I will say, the end of that game, Michael Jordan is not shooting very well, and you're going, this is everybody's GOAT? And then all of a sudden he comes up with just a masterful sequence on both ends of the floor at the end of the game, and one of them is the shot, right? And you'll see those moments of greatness, but I don't know day by day. I just don't.
Well, I'm saying this though. Comment down below enough comments that you guys want to hear our debate. Seamus will talk about it. If there's enough comments, come on, Seamus, you'll talk about it. You'll give it a little chat. No, for sure.
I'll talk about it. I'm not going to debate about it. I'm not going to say, "Oh, you're wrong for saying LeBron's the GOAT." Also, what is the greatest of all time? Everybody has their own criteria. Another conversation for another day.
That's fair. That's fair. It's a long conversation, and we'll have you guys tune with fun topics like that later in August. Because I tell you guys what, it's the end of summer league, and Seamus mentioned this the other day, I think on post game show. But it is a long time till we see Celtics basketball once again. Preseason isn't until October, so I tell you guys what, as Andrew should be back in a second, but as we make this a three-man show really quick, we will see where Andrew went. But I gotta say, Celtics Summer League passed, whatever. We got to talk about it, you guys. Just to start it off, we will get into individual players and talk more about that. But overall, Celtics finish the Summer League 4-1. What are your guys' thoughts on how the Celtics performed? Player-wise, let's wait 1 minute because I'll pull up player. I trust me, you guys will be set with the player stats. I got you. I got you covered. But along the other lines, what were your whole thoughts about the Celtics gameplay? And we'll start off with Daniel, go Seamus, and I'll give my take, and then we'll go into player thoughts. But what are your thoughts, Daniel?
I think the thing I was most impressed about was, I think, just like hunger and mostly defense that I see from some of those guys. I think defensively, I see some dogs out there. Someone that Griffin put me on, Hugo Gonzalez, or Hugo, as his name is pronounced. He's pretty good. I was more like a 50-50 guy on him. But Griffin put me onto him, and I was like, okay, he's not that bad defensively. And there were some other players I can't really remember. I can't really put it to names. But most of the players out there were like showing heart and like showing consistency when it comes to like defense. And I saw some players where I was like, oh, they're gonna score on this, and then it's like just good defense basically, and just locking them up. And then we get the ball back, and I'm like, oh, okay. Surprisingly, they did not score there, and we played good defense. So I think for me, defense is going to be the takeaway from this 4-1 record for the Celtics. But yeah, very good record. Not bad at it. I don't hate it at all. Especially since we're going to see some of those guys remain on the main Celtics, and then some of them go on to the Celtics during the season. So 4-1 record is good. I like a lot of the players on that team, and I can't wait for the season to start.
Yeah.
I think what's reflective about the Celtics Summer League squad is there's a definitive culture in Boston right now when it comes to the Celtics organization. And we saw that play out at Summer League because the Summer League team set the same tone and standard as we saw from the regular season Celtics last year and even years prior to that. And what we want to see out of the Celtics ultimately, and the Celtics front office as well, the Celtics ownership, everybody in Celtics Nation wants to see out of the Celtics team next season. And I would completely agree with you, Daniel, that defense was the calling card of the Boston Celtics at Summer League. And it needs to be the calling card of every single Celtics team every single year. I mean, offensively, the team's been pretty good the last couple of years, right? The team's been pretty good the last couple of years, but defensively, I mean that's where a team can really make their greatest impact. When we see great offensive teams around the league, if they don't have a great defense, they're not really worth too much. And we saw the best defensive team in the league just won the title. I mean, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and then the year prior, it was the Boston Celtics. I know some want to throw out the Minnesota Timberwolves, but the Boston Celtics won the title in 2024 with one of the league's best defenses. And that's what we saw at the Vegas Summer Leagues. We saw a lot of active hands. We saw a lot of active feet. We saw a lot of aggressiveness on the defensive end of the floor. We saw a lot of effort on that end of the floor. And that's what we want to see out of the young guys who are coming up and want to grab an NBA spot because the Summer League, it's a massive tryout event, right? We have players from overseas, players from the G League, players coming into the league from college and even overseas elsewhere, young players. And at that point in their career, I mean, nobody at Summer League is proven. I mean, proven players are not at Summer League. So ideally at Summer League, we want to see players play hard, especially on the defensive end of the floor. I mean, that is I see it as the most basic thing to do in basketball, right? I don't know if you guys have heard from players you've ever played with and pick up before, but there are some players out there, some people, right, who play the game of basketball. They go, I'm not that skilled, can't dribble, can't shoot, all of that nonsense, right? But then they recognize, oh, I can give effort. I can come up with deflections. I can come up with steals. I can run in transition. I can sprint up and down the floor and play great hard-nosed defense. And that is at the very least what a player can do in the game of basketball if they're putting forth their full effort. And at the Summer League, that's what we saw out of the Celtics Summer League squad. And so going into next season, that's what we want to see out of all the young guys, but even the new guys who are coming into Boston, as well as some of the familiar faces still inside the building. And I thought the Summer League squad is very reflective of the tone and the standard the regular season roster will be trying to set next year and have already set years prior.
Well, Andrew, as you join us back, I want to ask you too, before I say my takes on the Celtics Summer League. We'll get into player individual stats in just a second, but what were your thoughts on the overall, record of the Boston Celtics in Summer League being 4-1? And what did you see that you liked from a team perspective from the Boston Celtics?
Yeah, so sorry, my phone overheated, unfortunately. Craziness. But I think, what I saw from this Celtics team is really good off-ball movement, like unselfish basketball. I really liked a lot of the Celtics' ability to create open baskets through, dribble at cuts backdoor or, cross-court skip passes and not letting the ball get stuck. And I've talked about this on multiple podcasts, but I thought the Celtics this past season kind of struggled with that a little. They're a little stagnant on offense occasionally, and they'd kind of go one-on-one or just rely on Tatum to attack and get a little kick out. But it just seemed like they were attacking a lot of times a set defense. So the Celtics' ability to make themselves have an easier job on the offensive end and really create offensive possessions that can make their lives easier, I think is something that the Celtics need to work on, and seems that the summer league team worked on, and maybe it was communicated throughout the organization. Defensively, I really liked their aggressiveness. I really liked their ability to play together, and I just think we have a lot of wings with just a lot of length, a lot of ability to just like Seamus said, deflect passes, just make life hard on the offensive end for teams and really disrupt their offensive rhythm and flow. So I thought it was a good summer league. I mean, I'm not going to look at the record and be like, oh no, they should have had this, I should have done that. It is what it is. It's summer league, but it is a tryout, and I'm happy to see that these guys kept their foot on the gas pedal, a Griffin staple, and they worked hard and played within the Celtics organization and up to their level of like their standards, the Celtics standards. I felt they reached that, and that's always something you want to see within any team in your organization.
No, totally. I have to say, Seamus, go ahead.
No, I want to mention something on the record because Marty the Meat Man brought this up. If Jordan Walsh, right, and don't forget to check out episode 61 of the fan series afterwards, but also, it'll already be out by the time this is out, of course. So
I guess this is 62. Should have already watched it. You should have already watched it. If not, watch it after this, though.
Exactly. But Marty the Meat Man on the fan series, right? He mentioned if Jordan Walsh doesn't get thrown out of the game against the Miami Heat, are the Celtics Summer League champions as of today? They're 4-1, but then Jordan Walsh gets thrown out of the game 10 minutes. I mean, he only played 10 minutes, but
he was having a good game.
17 minutes into the game.
And he was having a good game, Seamus. That's the thing.
Yeah, and the Celtics lost by 4. And in crunch time, the Celtics had the lead. If they win that game, maybe they don't win the next 2, right? Maybe they don't win the next 2. Maybe it affects that. Maybe they're on their high horse after the Heat game. They lose to the Lakers. Although let's face it, I mean, Celtics, Lakers, any level, they're popping out for that game. But
hey, we'll never know.
Mention that. I mean, Marty the Meat Man brought it up earlier. If Jordan Walsh doesn't get thrown out against the Heat, maybe the Celtics win the Summer League in 2025.
That's a valid question. I mean, it really is, and it's like because Walsh was having a good game, so who knows what could have happened. But my overall perspective, and again, this was already released, so go check it out, episode 60 with Maurice Holmes. If you haven't watched it, watch it after 61. No, with Maurice Holmes, that was 60.
Oh, no, Maurice Holmes is 60.
Yeah.
My bad.
Check out Maurice Holmes after this, though, if you haven't watched it already. But one thing he said, it's kind of like a huge AAU game. It's really what it is because players are, walking in and out, da-da-da. And I like this. I'm going to say this take. I think it's a big AAU game, too, because you already mentioned it. I'm kind of going to piggyback off of it. I feel like this. You look at the game that just happened, and it's kind of like you're showcasing all your events. That's what you do at AAU. You're showcasing all your skills, and you're trying to have scouts come check you out. And that's essentially kind of what AAU is. So you're showcasing your events, your skills. Events. Why do I keep saying events? My bad. Sorry about that. That's what Seamus, though, was going off of. Essentially, everyone's coming in there. They're showcasing the skills that they have. It's like essentially a big AAU game. And I have to say, this is last year. I watched bits and pieces of Summer League. I think I watched 1 or 2 games. However, this year, I did not miss a Summer League game. I was locked in, and I have to admit, it got me pretty attached to the team, and I was pretty upset when we lost to the Miami Heat, and I was like, dang, now we can't win the Summer League championship, but at the end of the day, though, it was fun basketball, and there were a lot of players to keep an eye out for, and Daniel and Andrew and Seamus all said it. Defense was key here, and defense has to be key in Summer League because you look at it, if you're not playing defense, 9 out of 10 times a team isn't going to pick you unless you're a crazy offensive threat and, you're dropping buckets. But they're also looking at the aggressiveness on the defensive side of the ball, too. And that's a big way that a team's going to kind of grab you. But another thing that you look about with Summer League is what players are up and coming. And for the Boston Celtics, we've had a lot of debates about this, that there were a lot of players that stood out and not so stood out. So we're going to go through. I highlighted the main pieces. Now, we're not going to have a Zach Hicks on here that barely gave us any kind of room to show for. We're not going to have a Hayden Gray on here who played one game and played garbage time the other games because there wasn't enough sample size out of them. So I highlighted a lot of the main players, and we're going to go through it. I will give you the stats, and then at the end, we're going to talk about them. So I want to start off with Miles Norris. Miles Norris did not play too many games for the Celtics Summer League team. However, in the games that he did play, he averaged 9 points, rebounds per game, 5 assists per game, 1, and from the field goal, he shot 37.5. So there's Miles Norris. So if I need to go back to one of them for you guys too, we can. But next, we obviously are going to Charles Bassey, who was a huge guy that everyone in Celtics community are already talking about constantly. And this is going to be a guy that we already have had conversations about. So go check out the previous podcast because you guys all know the scoop on Charles Bassey. Points per game, 15.3. Rebounds per game, 11. And from the field goal, shot 70.4. Another guy I've been highlighting, Kendall Brown, points per game, 8.6. Rebounds per game, 1.8. Assists per game, 1. And shot 69% from the field goal. Another guy who had a phenomenal last game in Summer League, Isaiah Wong, who points per game, 7. Rebounds per game, 1.6. Assists per game, 1.4. And from the field goal, shot 45.8%. Then we have Shulga, who I feel like this is a guy that we might have a little conversation on too, who Max Shulga, points per game, 6, rebounds per game, 1.3, assists per game, 4.3, and shot 27.8 from the field goal. Next, we have Kenny Lofton Jr., who points per game, 10.3, rebounds per game, 5.3, assists per game, 2.3, and field goal percentage was 42.9. A guy who I liked, and we could also strike a conversation about this guy, Jalen Bridges, who points per game, 8, rebounds per game, 3.5, and shot 50% from the field goal. Then there are two guys on here who obviously have previously been on the Celtics roster, now showcasing their skills. And we might say, we've already talked about this a lot as well on the program. It was kind of underwhelming, the performances they had. And I won't lie, when I was making this for Baylor Shireman, I was kind of shocked because I didn't think his stats were all up there. However, the play on the court was just not great, to say the least. But this is another guy we probably will talk about. Points per game, 12.3. Rebounds per game, 5.3. Assists per game, 6.8. And this is where it really kills the great stats. Field goal percentage, 27.4. Then we move to Jordan Walsh, who averaged points per game, 15. Rebounds per game, 4. Assists per game, 1.3. And shot 46% from the field goal. And last but not least, the last person I highlighted, Hugo Gonzalez, who points per game, 10.8, rebounds per game, 4.5, assists per game, 2.8, and shot 30.2% from the field goal. And you guys might be wondering, why do I have hands 10 and 10.25 inches right there? It's because an interesting stat about him came out. So I wanted to kind of mention that really quick as, I teleported you guys. Sorry, I had to plug in the laptop. But Hugo Gonzalez, a funny thing I learned, had the second largest hands in NBA draft history, I think it is. Correct me if I'm wrong, Seamus, on that. But
combine history, which is sort of the same thing, but some players don't make it to the combine.
No, totally. But there you go. There's a little fun fact for you. I had to throw that on there. But we'll start off with Hugo Gonzalez, because. And I don't want to talk about it a lot because Seamus and I already talked about this on the last post-game show, I think it was. So go check that out. But I want to hear Daniel and Andrew's perspective from this. Seamus and I said with Hugo Gonzalez, he performed well as you see his stats. I mean, 10.8 points per game. The rebounds were there, the assists were there. Shooting, however, was not there for Hugo Gonzalez, and his defense looked good. His defense looked great, but he didn't look very like Seamus. I want you to say it because I said too that he wasn't just ready. He's not ready to play in the NBA. I feel like this is a guy who should play for the main Celtics first. But you said something too that stood out to me, that about his shooting. What was it that you said about his shooting that you didn't like?
Well, it was about his shooting mechanics. When you shoot a basketball, you want to have a firm base and you want to kind of build yourself like a skyscraper or like a tree, right? You want to have a firm base and you want to be going straight up and down, basically. With Hugo Gonzalez, it's almost as if his base it's almost like a funnel or a cone going up to his shot. His shot is very, like, his elbows are very in up here, his hands are very in, but then his base, his feet are pretty wide. I mean, it's very much like it's like a cone formation, a triangle formation when he needs to be a little bit more straight up and down with his shot. And they even mentioned it on the broadcast as well. His shot looks different every time he shoots the ball, which is not a great sign for somebody. I mean, I will say he's 19, so he's
young.
There's definitely some room to develop that shot, but it's usually not a great sign for a player trying to make an impact right away when their shot looks different every single time they take it.
No, well, I have to say one thing too before you guys go is I don't doubt that he could be a key piece on the Celtics someday. However, his time is not now. I don't believe. He hasn't proved it. He hasn't had. Yes, he's shown, all right, my stats can be a little bit better when I'm slotted into, getting more minutes. However, he hasn't had a big prove me moment yet. But we'll start off with Andrew and then go down to Daniel. What were your thoughts on Hugo Gonzalez in the Summer League?
First of all, Griffin, I think you might be like, I think you want Hugo to come play at the main Celtics because
I want to
watch him.
I do. I want to scout him out, but at the same time, I just don't think he's NBA ready yet. I
get it. I'm gonna go the other route. I think he is. I think he is ready, and I think Brad Stevens thinks that. I think Joe Mazzulla thinks that because I think he has the skill sets that you can kind of plug him in, and he doesn't have to have the ball in his hands. He can move and cut off the ball. He can defend very, very well. And he has that level of athleticism that really, really translates to the NBA. So he's one of those guys where I think you can kind of put into the lineup. Maybe not utilize him as much on the offensive end, but find a way to use him in settings that seem right. So I really do. I actually like him to actually be on the Celtics roster. And I think right now the Celtics, the direction they're going right now, with the amount of length they had on the Summer League team. I mean, with guys like Hugo Gonzalez, they have Walsh, obviously, they're coming off his third year. They have, we're talking about Kendall Brown. They have all these guys that seem to just have length. They're long, athletic wings. And I feel like the Celtics next year may be going towards the direction of maybe we don't have the best offensive production, but we're going to disrupt the living hell out of you. Kind of like this OKC brand of basketball, and we're just going to get deflections, we're going to get steals, and we're going to run out on the offensive break and get easy buckets. And I think Hugo Gonzalez is a guy that actually does fit that role and kind of can play into that scheme. But I also, like I said, his ability to cut off the ball, in my eyes, is something that no matter what level you're at, it's just reaction. It's just knowing how the basketball game works and where someone's going. I think he can cut off the ball, so there's less opportunity for him to make mistakes and hold the ball too much. So I like his potential. I think he can be slotted in times of importance, and maybe not, starting lineup, but I think he could be slotted in.
I like that, but where are your thoughts, Daniel, on Hugo Gonzalez and his Summer League performance?
Well, now that I've heard both, I'm like 50-50 a little bit because and on one side, which is Seamus and Griffin's side, me and Griffin talked about this before in the previous podcast where we said that he needs some time to develop. It's him and both Kenny Lofton is one we said Junior, who are coming from playing out in other countries in other like leagues with different rules, different like regulations, different atmosphere, honestly. And it just takes some time for them to like come back to playing in the US or stop playing in the US and adjust to the US level of a game, the US regulations, rules, and everything else. You mentioned his shooting. I think I'm one of the guys that thinks with time he's gonna develop that and he's gonna make it like better, I guess, and he's gonna adjust it to how it works for him here on the Celtics. Maybe that shot worked for him over at Real Madrid where he was or like overseas. Maybe not, but hopefully being on the main Celtics will give him time to adjust and get those not only get those numbers up but also develop like a constant shooting range or shooting motion or form. But on the other hand, which is uh the the side where
He
yeah, the
goes to
side
the
that I
Celtics.
kind of agree with. Yeah, the kind that I kind of agree with is him being like one of those like guys on the 15 squad, on the 15-man squad. He's not going to be a starter, but one of those guys that like uh yeah, that could come in like late game defense or a specific possession where we need defense. Could put him in to implement that because he's one of those guys that we need on the team. Like Seamus mentioned earlier, defense has to be the precedent coming into the season. It has to be the main thing we focus on because offensively, anybody can score, everybody can score, but what you do defensively is what matters. And I think Ugo has that. And I think offensively he's gonna need some work, but I think defensively he's already set at an NBA level. So I think putting him as like the 11th guy, 12th guy, like averaging like about let's say 5 to 10 minutes a game with good defensive stats. I like that.
Well, I want to say one thing though. I agree with you, Andrew, that I believe he could contribute with the Boston Celtics, especially a year where the Boston Celtics, it's a bridge year, it's a retool year. You got to get him experience, but I don't want them to do what they did with Jordan Walsh. I feel like Jordan.
Oh yeah.
I
I,
feel
I
like
I agree with that heavily.
yeah,
I
because I
agree with
feel
that
like
heavily.
Jordan
Yeah.
Walsh was too rushed in. Jordan Walsh was rushed in. Obviously he got a lot of G League time. However, his second season, he should have spent majority of that in Maine and developed a little more. However, with Hugo Gonzalez, I do feel like he could, contribute at the NBA level. However, I think that he needs at least a little time to develop, go right in the United States, get used to the competition, get adjusted, work on his shot down in Maine. That's a perfect time to work on his shot. And then once he's ready, go up to the Celtics. However, I think he needs to get his shot right. But what are your thoughts, Seamus?
Well,
Can I say one more
Gonzalez,
thing?
what?
I honestly
No,
do
yeah,
think,
go ahead, Andrew.
I honestly do think though, like in my eyes, Gonzalez and Walsh are they can beat they're comparable. Don't get me wrong, but Walsh in Madrid for a majority of his like since 16 young age and being around NBA caliber players and all that. Like I just think that and I could be very wrong, but I do have this feeling the way he carried himself in that interview, that demeanor of like we're going right back to it, like I'm locked in. I mean, the way that Brad Stevens is talking about him, like the way I mean, all these different things that are showing signs towards him. I just think, and honestly, I'm just gonna like throw out there. I think Hugo Gonzalez is gonna get 5 games in Maine, and I think he's honestly just gonna like really showcase what he has. Like really play at a high level and potentially like dominant, I think they're just gonna be like, you gotta bring him up. That's how I see it. But I could be wrong. But there is just something about him that stands out to me that really seems to just translate to the NBA level.
Yeah, I was gonna say about Hugo Gonzalez. He's a first round pick, right? He's a first round pick. He's the 28th pick overall, and first round picks. I mean, they're not going to be slotted on two-way slots as we know. Gonzalez is not on a two-way contract, but there is a little bit more of a calling for a first round pick to make an impact sooner rather than later, even with their age. And I'm not saying in Gonzalez's rookie season he's going to come out and make a substantial impact, but if you're looking at Jordan Walsh and J.D. Davison of the past, they're second-round picks. They're second-round picks who Jordan Walsh.
But
I mean,
Baylor
Jordan.
Again, though. But Baylor.
But I think Baylor's like he's not as trained. He doesn't.
Yeah, he's older
as much to the NBA. He's older, but we're talking about like pure athleticism, pure strength, like all these intangibles of an NBA player. I felt Baylor Sharman is less of that, so he didn't fit in as much. But
I look at this, 19 years old. He's so young that I'm not saying the whole season, no, because I feel like he should get a lot of time with the Boston Celtics, especially this year, because this is a retooling year. This is the year where you develop. But I think there's still some work that needs to be done with him. But Seamus, go ahead. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, no, I was saying the fact of, well, first of all, Baylor Shireman, he's already in the stage where if he doesn't really show anything next season, I'm getting a little worried about Baylor Shireman because of his age. So even him as a first-round pick, he's expected to give something a little. I mean, not only because he's a first-round pick, but because of his age, he is expected to produce a little bit of something in the rotation next season, especially considering a lot of the conversation last year was, oh, he's the Sam Hauser replacement. Even this offseason, it's been the conversation of, oh, he's the Sam Hauser replacement. Well, Baylor Shireman actually has to show that. I mean, at Summer League, didn't exactly see that from Baylor Shireman, but next year he has to show that. But Gonzalez and Shireman, they're both first-round picks versus Walsh, Davison. They're both second-round picks. I mean, there's just less of an expectation on a second-round pick versus a first-round pick. But Gonzalez, within the Celtics rotation, the tough part, well, I should say, the tough part about integrating Gonzalez into the Celtics rotation is where does he fit into the offensive end of the floor? And I think the place he fits in best is as a cutter, somebody who is really just moving off the ball in that end of the floor. And I want to see more off-ball movement from the Celtics in general next season because we're some of the best teams in the league, all right? The most efficient offenses in the league. It's not hard to see on film why they're so efficient. There's a lot of off-ball movement. There's a lot of cutting. There's a lot of coordination going on behind the scenes and even away from the ball, as we know. And the Celtics, it would be nice to see a little bit more of that in the offense next year. As we've seen in the last couple of years, they've been one of the teams at the top of isolation possessions, right? The Celtics have played in isolation more than any other team the last couple of seasons. So you'd like to see more of that off-ball cutting. That's where Gonzalez could play a factor into the Celtics rotation, along with what we know he can do on the defensive end of the floor. But offensively, it's going to be about, can he make the three-point shot? Because we've seen in the past, players who can't shoot the ball have no place in Missoula's lineups. We just know from the experience of Xavier Tillman last year, the conversation around Tillman now, we've had a million segments where we throw in Tillman here or there and talk about him. He needs his own video, I got to say. He needs his own video. So. But he's always a tidbit, and he's always an example in a conversation. But he's going to be an example once again here. Last year, part of the narrative surrounding Xavier Tillman and Xavier Tillman not playing in the lineup with the Celtics was the fact Xavier Tillman was shooting it at a near 20% clip from three for most of the season, and that was why Xavier Tillman wasn't playing as much as some other bigs in the lineup. Of course, you have Porzingis, Horford, Cornette, and Keita over Tillman last year, but that was part of the reason as to why Tillman wasn't playing in the lineup. Is he just wasn't a stretch big. He wasn't an outside factor, and then we can go into some of his other the other flaws within Tillman's game. Mostly involving his physicality, but Tillman is a player who was apparently, like, that's what I'm saying, is like, this was alleged, right? This is alleged. He was allegedly sat down on the bench because he couldn't shoot. There's other, there are other things out there that we could point to and say, oh, maybe it was this thing, but allegedly it was this shooting. Could that be the same story with Gonzalez early on in his career, where he's a good cutter, he's a good active defender, but he can't make a shot consistently, which will sit him down on the bench more often than not?
Well, Seamus, a question I have, though, and we already kind of mentioned it, but do you see him spending time in Maine, though, this season, or do you see him?
You'd have, I mean, he's 19.
He's 19.
So to me, I would say yes, because 19-year-olds, right? I mean, they're far, far away from being their peak self. I mean, there's a lot of room to grow there. But even this season, right? The Celtics are going to be a little bit more competitive next year than people think. Just saying.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, just a little bit more competitive. I don't think it's going to be a free for all tank where it's Gonzalez is in the starting lineup and got it. No, that's not going to happen. We're going to see a world where Gonzalez's minutes are somewhere around the ninth, 10th, 11th most minutes on the team, right? And within that, if he's playing the ninth, 10th, 11th most minutes on the team, why wouldn't you give him reps in Maine? Why wouldn't you let him start and play a whole game in Maine? I think we're going to see the same roadmap with Gonzalez as we saw with Baylor Shireman, although I would believe Gonzalez is going to be a little bit more involved in the regular season throughout the year than Shireman was last year because of the competitiveness of the team. But
yeah, completely, hands down.
I see the reps up in Maine for sure this next season for Gonzalez. Maybe not as much as Shireman, but I see the reps coming. I mean, it's almost a no-brainer. He's 19. He's not going to play, starter minutes with the Celtics, and he was just overseas playing pro. You want to give this guy more reps anywhere you can. And if that's with the Maine Celtics, which we know that's typically where it's at, that's where the Celtics should be ultimately sending him this next season, for part of the season at least.
Totally. Any other takes you have on that though, Andrew?
No, not really. I mean, I think too though, Hugo Gonzalez, yes, I think his 3-point shot needs to improve. I think the Celtics play style, is wants 3-point shots, wants a high volume of them. But I also do think the Celtics do need to somewhat slightly change their identity, slightly change exactly what they're doing, because they're they're a little too one-dimensional for my liking. So there's potential to, utilize them and show different looks. I think that's something the Celtics could kind of improve upon, is just give teams different looks, because we were a little too consistent with the looks we gave teams, and they came to a point where it was just, we know what you want to do, and that's it. So I think Hugo Gonzalez can be that guy that can kind of switch it up and show different looks to teams.
No, yeah. Daniel, do you have anything else you want to mention on Hugo Gonzalez? Oh, you got to mute real quick.
No, I think everything else has already been said. I think for me personally, I do think he's not only is he gonna want to be part of that Celtics rotation, but I think he is gonna be part of that Celtics rotation. So that's where I stand. But I understand the other side too, where he needs time to develop more in the main Celtics. So I think it's gonna be a little bit of both. But I think mostly he's gonna be part of that Celtics squad.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see when obviously preseason comes around. I don't doubt that he'll spend some time in Maine, just to kind of tone his game a little bit. But this is my next question I have for you guys is Max Shulga, because I want to ask too, so Daniel, this is a big question for you, because I already asked Seamus this on post-game show, but these are some options. I mean, would you get rid of Shulga, kind of get him off of that two-way and make room for a Isaiah Wong or a Kenny Lofton? But what are your thoughts? Do you see someone on the Celtics Summer League roster that you would rather prefer than have Max Shulga on there as we transition into a 3-man show? But what are your thoughts, Daniel? And Seamus and I could elaborate a little more on that, as this is kind of, I see this being the last take we have on Summer League, because if you guys want to hear about Baylor, Shireman, and Walsh, go check out post-game shows and the last video we did. We've talked all about that. But what are your thoughts, Daniel? Do you see the Celtics, obviously come training camp, have to see more for people like Kendall Brown, Isaiah Wong, maybe even Jalen Bridges, but do you potentially see any of those guys taking Max Shulga's two-way spot, or do you see them, having trust in Shulga and going with him? What are your thoughts though, Daniel? Oh, unmute for us. My bad.
I keep forgetting that. I don't know why. But
no worries.
I think because he was a pick by the Celtics, and it wasn't just a random pickup right before the Summer League started. I think they're gonna have to they're forced to trust him almost, because they did pick him. So they're gonna have to they're forced to like trust him more and like have more trust in him. But in my individual opinion, I think Kenny Lofton absolutely 100% deserves a spot over him. I think if to answer your question of is there someone who I think deserves a spot over Max Shulga, the answer to that question, in my opinion, is Kenny Lofton Jr.
I know
But
you're big on him. I know you're big
yeah,
on him.
I'm really big on him. But yeah, I think he's gonna be big for the main Celtics next season. But I think if I had to guess what the Celtics would do, I think they would trust him and like at least for another season, just because I mean they did pick him, so kind of like I don't know, but just to me personally, I think that it makes sense for the organization to like just give him a year to like I don't know, we keep using the same word develop, but everybody does need to develop eventually, so I think the Celtics will go that route, but Kenny Lofton Jr. would be the name that I would choose to replace him.
So would you rather, because it seemed like you think that they would more so go with their second round pick, would you rather see like would you think that the Celtics would go more so in a route of cutting Miles Norris, a two-way player, and making room for Lofton, or do you think what other routes do you think the Celtics would do to obviously make room for Kenny Lofton?
Yeah, I think Miles Norris should be the only other one that, like, yeah, if you keep Max Shulga, then maybe Miles Norris goes. Or maybe the Celtics just don't see Kenny Lofton the way I do, and they just don't pick him at all. But,
I, I know you did.
yeah, but
Well,
yeah, I think either Miles Norris or Max Shulga would be the guys that like to kind of like switch.
and I want to pull his stats back up too, because again, points per game 10.3, rebounds per game 5.3, assists per game 2.3, and shot 42.9% from the field goal. I mean, he just showed when we saw him in summer league, you could obviously just tell that he's been out of the NBA a little bit. Obviously winning MVP overseas last year, but you could just tell he needs to kind of tone his game a little more. Maybe that's in a route of kind of working with the main Celtics and then picking up a two-way contract. You guys, I sound like a broken record because I've said the same about Kendall Brown. I've said the same about Isaiah Wong, Kenny Lofton Jr. and Jalen Bridges. But Seamus, do you see anyone taking Shulga's spot potentially? Or do you see this? Because you have to admit, there's a thick load of players that you kind of choose from. Because again, I feel like Kendall Brown is two-way contract worthy. He had a two-way contract last year with the Long Island Nets. Again, Isaiah Wong, he is. He's had a two-way contract with the Utah Jazz, and don't shake your head. He's a guy.
Did you just say a thick load of options? Is that what we have?
Stop. We have
What's true? I don't.
We have some options we have some options here though. And then like obviously Jalen Bridges for the Phoenix Suns, you have guys slotted in there that you could pick. And it's like, all right, do we go with Isaiah Wong who's experienced? Do we go with a Kendall Brown who's experienced but hasn't really had that next step in developing his game at the NBA level? Same with Kenny Lofton, same with Jalen Bridges. Do you go any of those routes or do you stick with Max Shulga? Because I know you have an interesting take on this one.
Well, I gave this out on post game the other day, but I'm going to give it out here as well. The known and the unknown, you have to weigh the known and the unknown within the NBA, right? And sometimes the unknown is a lot more valuable than the known. All these other players, they're somewhat known. They've been on other squads. There's NBA tape on them out there, and there's a lot of G League tape on them as well. As for Max Shulga, he's a completely unknown player. He's a completely unknown player versus all of the known players like a Kenny Lofton, like an Isaiah Wong, like a Kendall Brown, right? All of those players are fairly known, whereas Max Shulga, he's an unknown prospect. I mean, he's playing at VCU. The Celtics in the league have tape on him at VCU, but the competition at VCU is very different from the competition within the G League and even the NBA, as we very well know. And that's where Shulga is very, I would say for the Celtics, that's what's very interesting about Max Shulga is the unknown for him could be a little bit better than the known for all of these other players. And we dove deep on that the other day, but that's essentially the gist with Max Shulga. I mean, that is the gist with Max Shulga. I mean, we don't really know much about him yet. And for sure, could a player come along and take his spot in training camp and take his two-way spot. Because if I'm not mistaken, right? I don't want to be mistaken on this. You're going to have to fact check me, folks. Max Shulga and Amari Williams are not yet signed to two-way
I don't believe
contracts.
so. And
Gonzalez is signed.
What?
Gonzalez is on the books.
Yeah,
I don't see Shulga and Amari Williams.
No, though. But Seamus, Gonzalez is a safe name on the Celtics. You could say that.
He's already signed.
Yeah, so he's
already
safe.
Signed.
But I feel like the next one is Amari Williams. I mean, he's the only player, and I said this on postgame show the other night. He's the only other player I see that I wouldn't mind giving him NBA minutes because he looked the most NBA ready out of all three of our rookies. So, but the odd man out, if the Celtics went the route where they cut either Max Shulga or Amari Williams, I see it being Shulga because I see a lot of potential already in Amari Williams. I don't know if you agree on that, but of
course. I mean, if you're going to pick one or the other, Amari Williams had himself a solid summer league, whereas Max Shulga was pretty underwhelming. I like Max Shulga's game. I'm not paying attention to the shooting line because it's summer league. There weren't that many attempts out there, and he's not a player who's going to look for his own shot or necessarily. I don't want to say he doesn't want to shoot on the offensive end of the floor, but we know how unselfish that summer league squad was, and Max Shulga wasn't somebody who was consistently shooting from the floor. So therefore, I'm not looking at his 27% field goal percentage as much as I am looking at his assist. I'm looking at the film. I don't even care about. I'm sorry, Griffin. I know you have all the numbers you just pulled up, but I don't even care about the numbers.
But I was going to say this. A lot of the stats that I showed, you had to really watch the game.
Small sample size alert.
Yeah,
and circumstance.
It's what it is because, for example, you look at Amari Williams' stats. I mean, that doesn't justify from what he was doing. He was even playing point guard, like a point guard role for the Boston Celtics in Summer League. So, that's another stats that really don't justify for his game in the Summer League. But can I say this, Seamus, before I lose the take too, about, Shulga really quick is I look at this. I think it all comes down to training camp for Amari Williams and Shulga because, again, they're not on contract with the Celtics yet. So I look at this. I mean, the Celtics have a great history of developing guys and them going off and, making an impact elsewhere because they didn't make a huge impact on the Boston Celtics. So I look at this and it's like if one of the guys on here can go and work their ass off in training camp and really prove to be a better option than Shulga, all right, because I trust in the Celtics' ability to, develop. And I believe that, with Phil Pressey, I feel like with Phil Pressey being the main Celtics head coach down there, he's going to be a great guy to, develop them. And I feel like they're going to have a great development team this year. So it's like, all right, if you go the Shulga route, he could develop guys well down in Maine, up in Maine, as Seamus likes to say. But also if you go with a Kenny Lofton Jr. or you go with a Isaiah Wong, Kendall Brown, Jalen Bridges, I'm open for it if they look to deserve it. If we go to Summer League, we just passed Summer League. It's time to move on. If we go to training camp, though, and we see, Max Shulga is struggling, and you have a guy like, obviously, I'm drawing a blank right here. I got to think about it. Kenny Lofton, or you see a guy like Isaiah Wong or Kendall Brown really work their tail off and deserve that two-way contract, I wouldn't put it past them. But, I think it's time to kind of at least close the door for some Summer League right now because I want to get into a little tidbit, as Seamus likes to call it. I want to get into a little tidbit, and it's just a little graphic I want to show, but then we'll get into the next segment because we have one stored for you at the end. But I want to talk about this. I wanted to give a little Jason Tatum update because we haven't had one in a minute. All right, and Seamus, I know he's probably not happy about this, but I wanted to break down Jason Tatum's recovery state right now. In that first picture, I swear I haven't seen Tatum smile since the injury, which I don't blame him. I mean, from an Achilles tear, you're depressed. That next picture is him working out, and we see in that next picture all the way to the right, or is it the left, Seamus? I can't tell. It's not reversed on this, is it?
No.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going nuts if that is. Like, this is, come on. But on the right, you see him out of the boot. And then, again, down below to the bottom left, see him training. And then to the bottom right, he's in the water and he's doing the water workouts. Are we seeing a – can I pull this up, Seamus and Daniel, for you guys? Are we going Jason Tatum water route this year? Are we going to start seeing those training videos? But ultimately, I just wanted to say Jason Tatum is – progressing fast. I'm still at the point where I believe that Jason Tatum should have the off season and full season to recover, come back strongly in 2026, 2027. That's where I stand. I don't want to see any possibility of him, getting an injury again. I like Coach AJ's take. Say he's way ahead of progress and say the Celtics do make a playoff run. Say by any chance they do, have him on the bench, scare them, don't play him, but have him be like a fear factor. Hey, look, watch out for Tatum. But I don't think they should play him. But do you guys agree with that? There's not much. Don't say much because we know the whole Tatum thing. But I wanted to give a little update on the injury. But Seamus, go ahead.
Well, I got to say, Jason Tatum, he was just in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
He was.
And that's exactly where I was as well. We were both in Chattanooga at the same time. I mean, I didn't run into Jason Tatum out there, but we were right there. We were right there in the same city at the same time. And it was a little crazy. I remember going, I opened Twitter and the first thing that pops up, boom, Jason Tatum in Chattanooga. I'm going, that's where I'm at right now. That's where I'm at. Now, I'm not there anymore, but we were there at the same time. We were there at the same time. When he was out there lifting weights, I was in the city.
That's what I say about Cooper Flagg. You know my Cooper Flagg takes. When he was in there shooting buckets, I was out on his home floor playing football. But
I got to say, I've driven through Cooper Flagg's hometown. So all the way from St. Louis, somehow made it all the way up. I didn't even know at the time.
And I
didn't know at the time. I knew later. I mean, when Cooper Flagg, kind of came into promise, I've been there before.
No, but we've been having this debate because if you guys haven't known, go to Celtics night at the Sea Dogs, August 12th. But I've been yelling at Seamus because I'm like, Seamus, come on, man. Just make the trip. We all meet up. But you guys will see me on the field for Celtics night. So come to Celtics night. A little quick shout out to the Portland Sea Dogs. But Daniel, what are your thoughts on Jason Tatum's recovery thus far?
Yeah, to start off, Seamus, you should have put like a computer and like pulled some hacker move to figure out exactly where Tatum was, and like pull like some of those like hacker skills and just be like, oh, he was here like 12 minutes ago. He used his credit card here like 5 minutes ago, and just be like, oh, let me just pop out real quick. But yeah,
that's a little too deep. That's a little too deep. I gotta say the photos. I knew where he was in the photos, but afterwards, like they post him afterwards. It's one of those things like you go out and film content and then you post after you leave, so people don't converge on you.
Yeah, that's the sole reason why they do that, to stop stuff like that from happening. But yeah, on the verge of Tatum, I think I agree with Griffin. I think keep him off for the rest of next season and have him come back 100% healthy, instead of playing him when he's 99% or like 98% and still have that like little sliver of chance where like he gets a relapse or the ankle gets messed up again or something else, So I think it is good to see. It is good to see him outside. It's good to see like him with that new cut. I like it. He's like growing his hair out almost. I kind of like that look. Yeah, I really like that look. I think if I had to be like a look for Tatum, it's either that or like when he buzzed it for that Olympics team.
I know. I think I went a Tatum route.
I'm one of those I'm one of the few people that actually like that cut and like him with with the buzzed hair. But yeah, I think it's good to see him out. It's good to see him active, or like not active, but like active in like recovery and like working out finally. And I think we're gonna see more of those as the season goes on next season. And I think as a Celtics fan, I think we can all say we're gonna be excited to see him back in 2 years' time. I'd say about a year, I guess. Yeah, a year from now, it's gonna be like end of next season, right? And we're hopefully gonna be able to see Tatum back on the court before the 2027 season starts.
Well, I do have to add on this because this is a little Celtics Nation Rise, Celtics Talk weekly thing. So word on the street, Daniel, says you're a pretty good shooter because I heard you went to the games and got yourself a Maine Celtics basketball. Is that right? For our just to keep track for when we have our Celtics Talk Weekly Celtics Nation Rise pickup game. Is that true, Daniel?
Hey, you could count me as a Peyton Pritchard a little bit, or like one of those like guys that's like quiet on the bench, but like when you put him in and you let him acclimatize to the game. I'm low key like a 5 threes a game kind of player. Like I don't know how the shooting percentage is gonna look, but I could put him some shots, here and there. But I did win the Celtics basketball, a mini ball. I have it right here. This is it.
I got the. Oh, it's a Celtics one. It's not a Maine Celtics.
Yeah, I said Celtics. I said I did win a Celtics
gotcha.
one. Yeah,
Right.
It is a Boston Celtics mini ball that I won.
I'm scouting him, Seamus. He's on my team. I'm calling him.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, put me in a shooting competition with anybody. Klay Thompson. I don't know, 70 straight threes. That's Steph Curry. Maybe those two guys, but anybody else on earth, anybody else, I'll take. Ray Allen. Got to give him respect. Those are the three. All right, I'm taking on anybody else. Malik Beasley. Come on. I know he loves to bet.
All right, Seamus.
Hey, Pritchard. What about Pritchard?
Oh yeah.
Oh, all right.
I'm sorry. The confidence that Pritchard plays with is just the confidence you have to have while playing basketball. Like you have to, obviously you want to play the game in the right way. You don't want to be overly confident in yourself when oh, there are 3 defenders on me right now. Oh, I'll just shoot it over like Kobe. It's like, maybe get rid of the ball. Right. But always play with confidence, right? So I'll always play. I'll give respect to 3 shooters: Ray Allen, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson. Everybody else, come on, we'll get into competition together. I believe in myself. I mean, it's just the numbers. If you can hit shots, you can face anybody, even NBA players. They might shoot a little bit faster than us. They might be a little bit faster, but straight up shooting competition. I feel like that's the old man conversation now. It's like, oh, well, we'll play horse and you'll see how it goes. And it's like, horse, like that's not even. It's like, well, come play real basketball. But that's how I see it.
One of those like back in my day takes. Be like, back in my day, yeah. One of those,
I will say our day is right now, though. Our day is
right now.
Right now.
Your day is right now. Well, do you know who else's day is right now? A little tidbit for you guys once again. George Niang. I gotta say he was on the OGs podcast, and I have to admit I was pretty upset because I went to bed last night watching this podcast. I was hearing George Niang's take, and I wake up and this is blown up on the OGs podcast. Haslam's podcast. But anyways, this is the take he said. Quote from George Niang: "They don't give a shit if I'm from Boston. You just took our unicorn and replaced it with a minivan. I'm like public enemy number 1." That's from George Niang. Just a little tidbit for you guys too. I just want to throw that in there. He knows. So that's all I got to throw in there. I mean, also the Jaylen Brown things, but we all talked about how he's probably forgiven, as you see now. Jaylen Brown and him are great again, but I just had to toss that in there because I thought that was pretty interesting. However, something that kind of kills some Celtics fans, and we'll take it away. Seamus, this is your segment for the podcast because I got to quote you for the graphics on these ones too. Great graphics. Always love the graphics from Seamus, but take it away, Seamus.
Per Shams Charania, breaking. Marcus Smart has agreed to a contract buyout with the Washington Wizards and intends to sign a 2-year, $11 million deal with the Los Angeles Lakers after clearing waivers, sources tell ESPN. A return to a grand stage for the 2022 NBA Defensive Player of the Year. Marcus Smart officially a Los Angeles Laker, and I gotta say, the 2017 version of myself and the rest of Celtic Nation right now is absolutely vomiting all over the floor watching Marcus Smart go from the Wizards, that was pretty bad in itself, but now as you see up on screen, Marcus Smart will be the first Laker in NBA history to wear the number 36. So Marcus Smart already making some history with the Los Angeles Lakers, but Oh my goodness. I got to say, I'm glad Marcus Smart is finding his opportunity out there, and this might be one of the best opportunities out there on the horizon for Marcus Smart, given what his value is now in the NBA and what the NBA landscape looks like, and where the Lakers stand in the Western Conference and what they have on their plate in front of them. But oof, the Lakers. Can we stop signing former Celtics Lakers? I mean, how many times do the Celtics sign former Lakers? I mean, to be fair, the Lakers don't have as much of a robust history in the last 2 decades as the Celtics. I know they have a championship or two in there, maybe a couple, maybe three, right? But ultimately, the Celtics, it feels like former Lakers never make their way up to Boston yet. We have Rajon Rondo, Avery Bradley, Marcus Smart, Isaiah Thomas, all Los Angeles Lakers. I'm sure we can
Dennis
find
Schroeder.
more. Dennis
Oh,
Schroeder. I mean, he was a Laker
Dennis
before.
Schroeder.
No. He was
Yeah.
the Laker. He was a Laker who became a Celtic back into a Laker. So that was, I mean, back and forth, back and forth. We got each other on that one, but I mean, I don't, it's some of the gut wrenching thing about it is it's some of the fan favorites, right? It's not it's not a Vincent Poirier, right? It's not a Vincent Poirier where you're going, he played a couple games with the Celtics and now he's with the Lakers. It's like, no, these are staple Celtic guards that fans own jerseys of. I mean, I'm sure I own an Isaiah Thomas jersey, a Rondo jersey, a Marcus Smart jersey. Do I own all? Yeah, Avery Bradley too. I mean, all their jerseys. I have all their jerseys. You know, they're certainly players who people bought the jerseys of when they were with the Celtics, and now, I mean, obviously not all of them aren't on the Lakers, but they've all now played with the Lakers, and Marcus Smart will play with the Lakers. But Marcus Smart on the Lakers, that one is a. Yep, there it is. Then 2019-20. This is a little bit of a surreal moment. I remember Enes Kanter leaking those jerseys. I remember I was in high school and we were doing a bus evacuation drill, right? And we're going outside and I'm peeking my phone, right? We're in PE. I'm peeking my phone. I'm going, ooh, Enes Kanter. Ooh, he leaked the Celtic City edition jerseys. And I remember everybody thought they were blue at first because the lighting was a little weird and it was one of those, is it blue or is it green? And now I see him in the background, right? That jersey in the background, you have it, Griffin. You just pulled it out of nowhere. And of course, Marcus Smart. We're talking about him in this segment, but it's just it's one of the right now, right? In 2025, there are a couple things that we see out there in the NBA landscape, especially the Marcus Smart signing, and it just doesn't sit right, right? It just doesn't feel normal. Like I always look back at the 2016 self or the 2017 self, and what we see now just isn't normal. Marcus Smart with the Lakers. I mean, luckily the Celtics and Lakers haven't necessarily participated in that heated of a rivalry the last 15 years, right? And since the 2008 to 2010 stretch, but ultimately, I mean, the Celtics Lakers rivalry is still a thing. It's still a historic thing, and that's just the thing that kills me about Marcus Smart becoming a Laker is that's going to be on his resume, right? It's going to be on his basketball reference. If he ever, if he has pictures of himself on every team he's ever played on in his home one day, he's gonna be in a Lakers jersey up there. But we got to get him on. We got to get him on NBC Sports Boston. Or not even NBC Sports Boston. Let's get him on to the Celtics Nation Rise podcast or the Celtics Talk Weekly live or podcast or post game show or special edition. Of course, Marcus Smart come on to all of our programs. But we got to get him back in an Eddie House role, right? Eddie House left the Celtics. He was with a bunch of other teams, but then now you see he's back. He's on NBC Sports Boston. He's up there. And well, I mean, up there from where I'm at in Massachusetts, right? And he's back within the Celtics community. He's a solidified Celtic. I mean, he's a champion of the past, but he's a solidified Celtic. You need to find that role for Marcus Smart in the future, where he's back wearing Celtic green in some regard yet again, whether that's just a little patch on his polo or that's just him showing up in a suit and giving out takes for NBC. I mean, Marcus Smart. He is a player who 100% built the bridge to the championship in 2024 and just gut-wrenchingly so never got to bask in all of the glory and the fruits that championship bared for the team that season in 2024. But Marcus Smart, for 9 years leading up into the 10th year where the team won the championship, built that bridge. And he should. I understand he wasn't on the team, but I feel like Marcus Smart deserves a ring. I mean, 9-year veteran with the Celtics deserves a ring, and now he's with the Lakers. Couple years later, it feels like he's been off the team forever, but I'm glad I got to say this. I'm glad Marcus Smart, the opportunity is out there for him. I believe he's going to do well with the Lakers. And as well as you can with the Lakers, let's face it. And that's a good opportunity for him to potentially thrive in a bench role and add some depth to that team and play along some great players as well in the spotlight. He's going to be in the spotlight with the Lakers yet again, and he knows how to handle the spotlight from his time with the Celtics. But great opportunity with great players such as Luka and LeBron and others on that roster, and even JJ Redick as the head coach. I think JJ Redick is going to absolutely love Marcus Smart. I mean, I would want to see JJ Redick, Marcus Smart, Joe Mazzulla in some kind of Muay Thai, what is it called? Muay Thai Kung Fu match. I want to see that, right? I want to see Marcus Smart, JJ Redick, and Joe Mazzulla in a Kung Fu match against each other. That's what I want to see. I think JJ Redick's going to absolutely love Marcus Smart out there in Los Angeles. And I think the Laker fan base, they're just prone to clown anybody. So we're inevitably going to see that at some point where, oh, Marcus Smart's clown, but maybe I'll just say this. Maybe they clown him so much he comes back to Boston, right? He comes back. He's like, I need to make it back to where my hometown is, right? This is the Boston, Massachusetts, right? I'm not there right now, but Boston, Massachusetts is very much a hometown of Marcus Smart. I know he's from Texas, very much a hometown of Marcus Smart, though, for the last 9 seasons, or rather before 2 seasons ago. But Marcus Smart with the Lakers, it is a really it is a sore sight to see for Celtic fans, but you have to love the opportunity for him. And it's one of those things where it's like, you want to see Marcus Smart do well, but not too well, right? No, we don't want to see the Lakers do too well with him. Like, we don't want to see All-Star Marcus Smart. Maybe if he comes back, right? Maybe if he comes back to the Celtics. But right now, where Marcus Smart lands out in Los Angeles, that is just was there a worse destination for Marcus Smart? Maybe the Miami Heat. Miami Heat, Philadelphia 76ers. Now, I think the Sixers and Heat might be up. Sixers, Heat, Lakers are all,
they're up there.
Anybody goes there, it's like, ooh,
that's
not good.
Seamus, that's why everyone, if you haven't already, go watch episode 61 of the fan series, because he gave a good take on Smart too.
No. Yeah, I have to implement that question every time now. I asked Marty the Meat Man, do the Celtics retire Marcus Smart's number 36? We should get into that conversation right now. Right now. What are we doing? What do we should do? I'll ask you guys this question. Should the Boston Celtics retire Marcus Smart's number 36? And does this addition to the Lakers roster do anything to that?
You want to start off, Daniel?
I think, oh man, because of how many years he's played, I can see the argument there. But I think if we had just beat that Warriors team in 2022, I would immediately say yes. If we beat that Warriors team and won that ring that year in 2022, I would have said yes immediately. But because we didn't, and because he's still without a ring in Boston, I don't know. It's like a 50. It's more of a 60-40. I do think he should get retired, but I see the argument for the other side, where despite the years he played, despite the DPOY trophy that he has, without a ring, there's not much to validate, I guess, his retirement or the retirement of the number 36. So I don't know.
Well, I got to say first, but before you go, Griffin, here, I understand the ring validating players, right? Because, I mean, let's face it, every player on the 24 Celtics has been immortalized within Celtic Nation. I mean, Drew and KP, they're shipped out. I mean, they're Celtics for life. They're Celtics for life. Anytime they come back to the TD Garden, they're getting a standing ovation.
No.
2 games, though, right? 2 games. Marcus Smart, I'll look this up real quick as I'm talking here, but Marcus Smart played a lot of games with the Boston Celtics, all right? A lot of games. And 2 games, right? They were 2 games away from the ring in 2022. The Celtics were against the Warriors. And you could say not even 2 games, but just a couple minutes there in game 4. I mean, if the Celtics close out game 4, I actually watched a little bit of that game last night, or rather earlier this morning. And it is pretty gut-wrenching. But the Celtics, right? They housed Marcus Smart for 9 seasons. Marcus Smart played 581 games for the Celtics in the regular season, and in the playoffs played 108 games, right? And Marcus Smart has not played an NBA playoff game since 2023, which is pretty astonishing, right? He's a playoff player. But in his entirety, 108 games in the playoffs, and then 581 games in the regular season. Am I supposed to sit back and say the 2 games the Celtics didn't win in the 2022 NBA Finals should stand between Marcus Smart and a jersey retirement with the Celtics? I feel like those. This is where the ring culture conversation comes into all this. Is are we putting a little bit? Are we putting a little bit too much value on the rings? Because again, 581 games in the regular season, 108 games in the playoffs. That's a huge sample size. That's a lot. I mean, that's 9 years worth of games. And Marcus Smart, I mean, he gave his blood, sweat, and tears to the Celtics in those 9 years. And ultimately, what? That's 689 games, right? 689 games that he played with the Celtics. And I'm supposed to say 2 wins stood between him and a jersey retirement. I think there's more of a debate than people realize when it comes to his jersey retirement, because one defensive player of the year, if you really look back at the history of the Celtics, he was a huge part of the Celtics in those 9 years leading up to the title. And that is what is just so it's I don't know what I mean, I've been using gut wrenching in the entire time, but that is just the it paints the picture of life is not always fair, right, folks? Life is not always fair. Marcus Smart should have basked in the glory of that championship. I mean, he deserved that championship with the Celtics, yet was traded for the final piece of the championship roster. And it's almost as if the 9 years before that are a little forgotten now. They're a little forgotten. People like to remember the championship squad, but they forget all of the years beforehand when Marcus Smart was there making a legitimate impact. And I got to say, the amount of games he's played with the Celtics, I think there's certainly an argument there. But Griffin, what do you think about that?
Well, I look at this. If the Celtics keep retiring all these jersey numbers, they're not going to have any damn jerseys to give out. We're going to see a lot.
Would you feel comfortable with anybody wearing 36 with the Celtics?
That was my
It
thing,
seems a little weird.
It's like but Isaiah Thomas. I mean, people were like Drew Holiday, but
well, I'll bring this up. I don't know if this player is going to wear this number or not, but Anthony Simons, is he going to take the number 4?
I wonder. But it's like this though. It's like, all right, do I see anyone wearing 36? No. So it's like, all right, whatever. But at the same time, I want to brush up the argument more. So do I see him playing for the Celtics again? Yes. I see him. If anything, I feel like by the end of his career, he will sign a 1-day contract with the Boston Celtics. You see that happening a lot in Massachusetts culture, Boston culture, obviously with Tom Brady doing that. And you've had several other, Chara, I think it was. Yeah, Chara.
Daniel Chara, yeah.
Yeah, Bruins doing that. You've seen so many, Boston people come back and sign that 1-day contract. So I feel like if we don't ever see a Marcus Smart return on the court, we'll see a 1-day contract potentially. So he could,
like a Paul Pierce
Celtic. Yeah, like a Paul Pierce, So I see that coming more. But I look at this. I feel like, yes, he had such a strong impact on the Boston Celtics. And I look at this. It's definitely hard to say, yes, he does. And at the same time, it's like, it's so hard to say, no, he doesn't. I feel like this. Depending on where his career turns out, because he's 31 years old and he's been battling with injuries recently. If he has a rocky finish to his career, could I potentially see the Celtics say, all right, we go with a jersey retirement? And again, what he said earlier was kind of like, could we get him on a vet minimum when, the team's back and all ready and have more history with Marcus Smart? Then potentially I could see yes. But if he starts having more success elsewhere, for example, if he has some success with the Lakers, I feel like the Celtics are going to be more like, oh, why are we going to give this Laker credit because it could possibly be the Mookie Betts route. Now, for all the baseball fans out there, Mookie Betts had such history with the Boston Celtics. I mean, Boston Red Sox. My bad. I'm on Celtics mode. But he won a World Series, an MVP with the Red Sox. Does Mookie Betts get his jersey retired for the Red Sox? No, because look, he's had more success with the Dodgers. Now, I know he's had more time with the Dodgers and he was younger. However, Marcus Smart, it depends on his final resume. If he comes back with Boston and has more history, I could totally see them putting his number in the rafters. But, if he starts having success elsewhere, then it's like the chances just keep going lower and lower and lower.
The difference between Mookie Betts and Marcus Smart,
there's a lot of differences.
I mean, there are a lot of differences, but the difference between them specifically, some of the key differences is, number one, the rings. I mean, Mookie Betts did win a ring with the Red Sox, so you have that, but then you almost have the cancelization of that with 2 rings coming with the Dodgers, right? In 2020 and 2024.
If they never built him though to be the superstar that he was, then he would never have 2 other rings.
But as of this season, Mookie Betts has played as many seasons with the Dodgers as the Red Sox. So 6 years with the Red Sox, 6 years with the Dodgers. As for Marcus Smart, he has 9 years with the Celtics. Do we think he's going to be with the Lakers for 9 years? Realistically, the Lakers, let's face it. I mean, Marcus Smart, I would love to see him have success in Los Angeles, but Los Angeles, it's usually a pit stop for a lot of players. I mean, think about how many players have made their way through the Lakers the last couple of years. I think Dennis Schroeder, we got Malik Beasley, we have so many different players out there who have just made a little pit stop in LA, and they're on to other ventures elsewhere. I mean, we see that all the time. D'Angelo Russell back to the Lakers. I mean, the list can go on and on and on with players just making a small little pit stop in Los Angeles and then moving on. That's where, some Celtic fans probably have the hope of, well, this might be a 1-2 year pit stop for Marcus Smart, and then he's shipped maybe back up to Boston. That could be a possibility. But I do want to bring this point up when it comes to Marcus Smart. When he signed with the Lakers, immediately a moment that I thought of, right, that came between the Celtics and the Lakers, and the Celtics and Lakers haven't necessarily owned the heated rivalry that they owned in the 1980s and the 2020s, right? The 2020s rivalry between the Celtics and Lakers just hasn't quite been the same. It's just not quite the same. They haven't met in the NBA Finals, as we know. They both made the NBA Finals, but they haven't met in the NBA Finals, not in a playoff series, and in the regular season games are, well, they're regular season games. We know how those go. But a moment that I can remember, a Celtics-Lakers moment I can remember Marcus Smart was very much involved in. And this is not even really a Celtics-Lakers moment as much as it included the game between the Celtics and Lakers. But when Marcus Smart signed with the Lakers, I remembered the moment where the Celtics were playing the Lakers on January 23rd, 2018, all right, during the 2017-18 season. And at the end of the game, the Celtics had a chance to win the game. All right, it was 108 to 107. The Celtics just rebounded the ball. Marcus Smart was coming up the court, streaking up the court. There were 4 seconds left. He has the ball around the opposite end of the floor, around the 3-point line. He's streaking up the floor, right? He's got to get the ball up the floor in 4 seconds. No timeouts remain for the Celtics. Celtics down by 1. And Terry Rozier is just wide open up the floor. Wide open. I mean, you can see it on the film. He's wide open. Marcus Smart doesn't pass the ball to Terry Rozier and ultimately pulls up for a shot himself, misses the 3-point shot. The Celtics lose the game 108 to 107, and Marcus Smart goes back to his hotel room in Los Angeles and punches a picture, a painting on the wall. We're not really clear what it exactly was, but then he hurts his hand and was out multiple weeks. Right. And this is supposed to be a bad story surrounding Marcus Smart. I'll say people will go, oh, that's a little negative of a story. But I'm sorry. I like that passion. I like that fire within a player. I like players who care. All right. He made a bad play. He immediately knew it afterwards, too, because he took the rebound, streaks up the floor. Terry Rozier is wide open for a 3-point shot, completely passes him up, takes a contested 3 at the top of the key, misses. The Celtics lose to the Lakers. And then Marcus Smart goes back to the hotel room and punches a photo frame, and apparently there was glass all up in his hand, and he had to get, I don't know if he got surgery, but there was a wrap on his hand. He was out for multiple weeks, but that is the kind of
That's
passionate player the
passion.
Lakers are getting. Okay, that's the kind of, and I understand that can be a bad story, a negative story. I understand, but the passion, the care for the game, right? That Marcus Smart had. That is what Celtics fans loved. That is what the city of Boston loved. And I really hope Laker fans can appreciate that, because I understand the same grit and grind doesn't exist out in Los Angeles. It's a lot of pretty boy stuff out there in LA, all right? It's about the glitz and the glam, right? Boston's a little more hard-nosed up there. But I really hope that Laker fan base can appreciate the type of passionate player they're getting in Marcus Smart. And that was just a moment that popped up in my head. Not the most positive moment in regards to Marcus Smart, but that was the first Celtic Laker memory I could remember with Marcus Smart involved. There was another one in there. I believe it was no, that didn't even involve Marcus Smart. That was another bad moment. He hurt his calf against the Lakers. But the highlight I was thinking of, it was in 2021. I was thinking, did Marcus Smart make this pass? No, it was Jason Tatum. He has the behind the back pass
Oh
to
yeah,
Robert
Robert
Williams.
Williams and
Yeah,
Robert
yeah.
Williams with the Yan. Yeah, that was great.
I was trying to. I'm sure there are more good Lakers, Marcus Smart, Celtic Lakers, Marcus Smart memories that aren't coming to mind right now. But
Can, can
I
I
mean, that was
can
the
I give
one. That
my
was the one I can remember. That one was the one that sparked a lot of controversy that we spent a lot of time on making content at the time. And back in January of 2018, I cannot believe that's 7 years ago. All of a sudden,
can I give my final take on Marcus Smart and give a final thing I want to say about him is Marcus Smart, I love you, man. Like, you will always be a Celtic in my heart. And it sucks, like it's devastating him going to the Lakers, but they're paying him. He can play at a competitive level. I mean, he was rotting in DC. We didn't want to see him rot in DC. But you
that's
know,
that's that that no, that's a key point, Griffin. Sorry to interrupt you here, but that's a key point because now Marcus Smart is in a competitive. He's in a
yes,
competitive environment with the Lakers. The Lakers are actually playing for something. LeBron. We don't know what's going on with him necessarily, although we expect he's going to be with the Lakers next season. But the Lakers are actually playing for something and wanted Marcus Smart to contribute to the roster. I was afraid with the Wizards, Marcus Smart was becoming a player where
he
I understand his
boss.
$20
He
million
boss.
contract, he wasn't worth that. But even without that contract, I was wondering, is he going to fall out of the league? I could see Marcus Smart becoming a Udonis Haslem, James Johnson type of a player who's just sitting on the bench mentoring a PJ Tucker, right? Somebody like that who's not playing a ton but is mentoring all the guys, giving motivation to his squad. I could see Marcus Smart in that role as his career moves on. But I was wondering, is Marcus Smart going to actually contribute to a competitive team once again when he was traded to the Wizards? When the Grizzlies got rid of him, I was thinking, ooh, the Wizards might buy him out. They might waive him. We don't know what the Wizards are going to do. And will a team actually want Marcus Smart to contribute to their championship level squad? And the Lakers obviously become that squad now, as again, as excruciating as that can be for Celtics Nation. But that's a good main point to hit at there, is Marcus Smart is in a competitive situation now and not like you said, rotting with the Washington Wizards.
Totally,
Yeah,
totally.
I agree with that. I think mostly because I started being a Celtics fan about like 7 years ago, which is well like right around the time, like not really at the start of his career, but like when he started mattering to the Celtics. So when he started like making those plays you all remember, those like where he's
Hustle
like,
plays the
yeah,
diving.
I was looking for the word hustle. Yeah, right around the time when he starts making those hustle plays, you see him diving across the floor to get that ball, to keep it in, so another Celtics can get it. Those defensive plays that he's known for, and I think that was right around the time where I like fell in love with him. That's mainly the reason why I got that the hat. The hat was like Tatum Brown and Smart. I think Smart is
Yeah,
my
yeah, like the
yeah,
shirt.
yeah.
Yeah, the shirt and hat. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. I
on
think I
everything.
think that's one of the reasons why I got that hat, is because it had Smart on it. And Smart had like the most detail out of all of them, because he had his green hair at the time, and I think that was my favorite like phase of Smart, where like dyed it green to show the Celtics love, and I think that's when like my love just like became like 10 times more, for a guy like Marcus Smart. And it was sad to see him leave. It was sad to see Robert Williams leave. It was sad to see Brogdon leave. Like that whole 2021, 2022 team was something else for me. It was something special. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like Smart with the green hair. After that was such a special moment. Um, I think that's what maybe like really fall in love with him there, because he's showing like his basically the dedication to the Celtics and his dedication to the team. So it hurt to see him leave, but I think I'm super super glad that he's on the Lakers, because again, like Seamus said, I think one of my biggest fears was like him just being one of those guys that like, oh, we spent 9 of his seasons at like one of the best teams in the NBA, and then just like slowly just like exits out of the league, just like goes to DC, and then maybe goes to like another like the Nets or something like that for like a year before they waive him, and now it's just like out of a contract or something. So yeah, it would be sad if that was the truth, that like he just disappears from the league after the Celtics. But I like seeing him on the Lakers, just because once again, like I'm just gonna be reiterating what everybody else just said. It's good to see him at another competitive team. It's good to see him at a team that's going to recognize his value, a team that's going to finally give him something for what he's worth, and a team where he can finally compete again, finally get some minutes. And it's not just like a team like the Wizards where they're just like, oh, we're going to be tanking for the next 10 years. Let's just play smart. Like, let's just get smart and just like play whatever, just like because we're the Wizards and we don't really care about anything right now. But yeah, it's good to see him on the Lakers where he can finally get some implementation, where his defense can be used, where most of his skills can be used. So yeah, I like that he's on the Lakers. It sucks because it's the Lakers, but I'm not happy for the team itself. I'm happy for him.
That's fair. That's a fair take. I love that, Daniel. I'm not happy for the team. I'm happy for him. I love that.
Let me show the smart shirt I have in the back. Hold on.
Yeah. No, and I have something to show real quick here too. Here we go. So this comes from straight outside the TD Garden. We got the cereal. We got the Wicked Smarts.
Wicked Smarts. Oh, we got a smart jersey.
The Wicked Smarts.
Oh, look at this, Seamus. Look what we got.
I see it.
We got all the smart gear.
No, bring your jersey down, Griffin. Bring your jersey down. Let's give some homage to Marcus Smart here. Here we go. Yes. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you,
Marcus. Thank you, Marcus.
Forever a champion in our hearts. Okay, maybe not on Basketball Reference or in pen right on paper, but in our hearts, very much.
I will
a Celtic champion, Marcus Smart.
I think this is our goodbye to Smart because he's a Laker now. I won't go as far as Caveman. I love you, Caveman, but I won't go as far and unfollow him. But I love you, Smart. That's all I gotta say. And I'm rooting for you to have success, not the team. I'm rooting for you individually. I wouldn't mind another defensive player of the year.
Amen to that.
But I don't want the team to do well. I want you to do well. I like the team.
Amen to that.
Yes, the team can suck. I'll be fine if the team sucks. But you have a good year. I'm clapping for you. I'm rooting for Smart, not the Lakers.
I'll tell you this though, Marcus Smart is the type of player where he does not care about his individual success. He's going to care more about the team success than his individual success. So whatever we're rooting for there, I'm telling you, Marcus Smart, he's going to care more about that team success.
No, he is.
Regardless. But that's what Laker fans, come on, be thankful, right? Laker fans have to be thankful they have Marcus Smart on their roster.
And treat him well. Treat him well.
Exactly.
Because I will tell you this, we were hoping we were going to get the return, Dame back to Portland. Who else was there? Who else was the other one? Who was the other
Chris
one?
Paul?
Chris Paul to the Clippers. Yep, there it was. And we were hoping Marcus Smart to the Celtics. However, it was unfortunate. He's with the Lakers, but love you, Smart. Love you, Smart. That's all we got to say. That's our thank you, Smart. That's our thank you, Smart, for Celtics Nation Rise. But
thank you, Marcus Smart.
Thank you, Smart. With that being said, you guys.
Wait. Bring it back real quick.
We're bringing it back.
I want to say one more thing. So Griffin, you have the bowl on your shirt right now. Let's see it. Because you mentioned it earlier, Griffin. You go, that's you're not a Bulls fan. It's like, oh, I don't have the bowl. I'm gonna turn the attention over to Daniel right here. Is this a Bucks logo right here? Is this a Bucks logo?
Whoa. No. It's what is it called? Yellowstone? The Yellowstone Park, or like the big like national park. Yeah, that's what the meaning of the. If you look in the back, you'll see the Yellowstone thing, and that's what.
That gives it away right there. You could have. I'll say this. You could have lied about that logo, and we would have been like, oh, no. But the back gives it away.
No,
but
look,
I saw
that.
Griffin's. Griffin. There you go, gives it away.
There we
Cowbelly.
go.
Yeah,
some free sponsorship for these national parks and a company. But Griffin, you pointed that out earlier about your shirt, and I'm like, I had to point Daniel's shirt out. I'm going, well, Griffin's over here in a Bulls shirt, and Daniel's over here in a Bucks shirt. I mean, that's like a plain black Hanes shirt. All right, that's where you got to go.
But for the real ones, because I was about to close out, and Seamus is like, not so fast, Daniel. You're not getting away with this one. Because think about it, I said I'm not wearing Bulls gear because I always am wearing Celtics gear, but I'm like, I'm not gonna dirty up a shirt just for like an hour and a half. But
no, you do because this hour and a half is gonna be watched.
It is
over and over. It's gonna be watched 100 for 100 hours.
We see the Celtics gear though.
Got to think of that shirt being a 100-hour shirt. Really,
I can tell you what. This is not me. This is me. That's all I gotta say, though. That's all I gotta say. But yet again, Seamus, thank you for bringing out Daniel too, because Daniel had to be under the bus with me as well. But we rep green. We rep green. That's all I gotta say. But with that being said, you guys, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. For real this time. Again, make sure to like and subscribe and turn on post notifications to be notified every time we upload. Again, it's going to be all crazy this off season with content. We're going to break down trades. We're going to break down breaking news, and we're going to give you guys some fun content in August. Obviously, the long days, the days where there's not a lot. So we're going to bring you guys some fun content in the upcoming weeks. So thank you guys again so much for watching. Subscribe, and we will see you guys with the next one. Peace, guys.